Dangerous situation. Ger Fitzgerald beaten for it by Liam Simpson, flicked back in by Kevin Hennessy. And finally, with Willie O'Connor combining splendidly with Liam Simpson, way down the field it's sent. Stopped by Jim Cashman. Cut out here by DJ Carey against Cathal Casey. What a battle they're having. And the linesman across on the far side, Pat Horan from Offaly signalling that it's going to be a Kilkenny ball. Ted Carroll in the background there, in the centre, with a cap. County Secretary, of course. Pat Aylward on his right. Meanwhile, the Brollies are out here. Frank Murphy bringing the Cork umbrella for the Michael O'Brien there with a kind of Alaska-type jacket on his shoulders. Nicely inside towards Jamesy Brennan, quiet so far, trying to thunder his way through. Ball's got lost and the referee signalled that it's a penalty, I think, for that dangerous challenge on Jamesy Brennan. And tempers flaring somewhat. Decision. The referee speaking with Dennis Walsh for that challenge there as Jamesy Brennan was going through. Brennan was on the ground, the ball was nowhere.
It'll be interesting to see this again because the ball actually, Jamesy Brennan gathers it beautifully, races inside the defence and tries to go through. He actually falls and tries to hand pass the ball away here. Dennis Welsh tries to block it. Jamesy Brennan's trying to pick it up off the ground, and Dennis Welsh comes in, just pulls carelessly across Jamesy Brennan rather stupidly, and not sure what the referee is going to do. He's given a penalty.
Yes, it's a penalty, I think. A bit of impetuosity. So 3 on the goal line. Ger Cunningham coming out to talk to his defence, warning them about a possible rebound here. Brian Cunningham and Jim Cashman.
It'll be interesting to see what Kilkenny do, Ger. Will they go for a goal playing against the breeze? They're only 3 points down, and you'd wonder what they're going to do at this stage.
I think Ger was a bit concerned about the ball being perhaps too dry.
I think he was concerned that the ball might have been trying behind the goal, Ger, a fresher ball.
Happened once or twice before, Jimmy.
I think it did.
Well, this isn't the Munster final of several years ago. This is DJ Carey in a significant stage of the match, coming up to hit the penalty and score! 4 minutes before half-time. DJ Carey, a goal and 2 points. Kilkenny's only scorer. Delighted Kilkenny supporters. The game tied up, and Kilkenny with the wind at their backs for the second half.
You see DJ Carey again, beautiful striker of the ball, and drives it hard and low, and again, as I said already, ball hops in the ground before it gets to the defence, and that's always very difficult for a defence to see where it's going to go, especially when the ground is so wet and it slides off the ground. But again, if we can get a chance later on, I'd like to see that instant where the penalty was awarded again, whether Jamesy Brennan might have fouled the ball on the ground before it came to that.
There certainly was a possibility. Interesting decision also by DJ Carey to go for a goal, because many another player would have tapped it over the bar, I think.
Well, to be honest, Ger, I wasn't sure, you know, and it's always a lot of pressure on a young player whether to put it over the bar and just keep 2 points behind. So what a fantastic boost for Kilkenny coming up to half-time.
And Cork in this first half with 8 wides against 2 for Kilkenny. Telling statistics.
Interesting enough, DJ Carey, the only Kilkenny player to score, I think.
That's right. Tomás Mulcahy appreciating now that Cork a giant-sized task on their hands. They're going to pull this one out of the bar. They have a chance, and Kevin Hennessy kicks, and he's put it over the bar. He's very disappointed with himself. He was going for a goal, no question about that. He'll have to settle with a point. Cork back in front again.
Great chance again, great work by Ger Fitzgerald, putting pressure on the defence. Kevin, what he's so good at, getting loose inside. And I just wonder why he didn't hit it with the hurl here. He seemed to have plenty of time. He elected to kick it from quite a long way out, just like Joe Rabbit did in the semi-final for Galway, and it went over the bar. And normally Kevin is deadly in that situation, shortens the hurley and buries it in the back of the net. I thought he might have taken in another 2 or 3 yards.
He's also usually a very good footballer. This is one sailed in, met by Eddie O'Connor, comes out here towards Liam Welsh, challenged by Tomás Mulcahy, half blocked down. Corkmen waiting there for it in numbers. Pat Buckley against Liam McCarthy. Well deflected, but Cork get it back. Teddy McCarthy being moved across onto this left-hand side in spite of the number 10. Kevin Hennessy feeding it back inside. Low pick up there by John Fitzgibbon. Blackett comes to Pat O'Neill for Kilkenny. The Kilkenny centre half back, drilling it outside towards Bill Hennessy. Hennessy there challenged by Cathal Casey, with 1 minute and 25 seconds on my watch remaining in the first half. Well, an exciting first half overall, some tremendous skills. But Bill Hennessy and company certainly will have DJ Kerry to thank for that first half. The only scorer for Kilkenny, and keeping them very, very much in the hunt for their first McCarthy Cup for 9 years. But Cork will certainly have a response. It's going to make for a fascinating next 35 minutes. Bill Hennessy. Met by Jim Cashman. Pat Buckley leaving this one there for Tomas Mulcahy. Bill Hennessy again getting back into position, challenged by Shawnee McCarthy, picked up neatly by Tony O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan bottled up, held. Bill Hennessy says, what was I supposed to do?
Well, this is an important free note, Ger, because Cork have done well to get back and be a point ahead, and even another point at this stage could be very vital and give them, you know, going again 2 points up even at half-time. That would be encouraging, having come back from giving away the penalty.
Ryan Corcoran is back minding the house on this occasion, and it's Shawnee McCarthy. From this angle, it looks good, and it's gone over the bar.
Great score by Sean McCarthy. He was under a lot of pressure there, and it's going to be a real test of Cork's character, and they'll need all those chances, and that really was a pressure score. First-class point by Sean McCarthy.
2 points between them, 2 points for Shawnee McCarthy. And the Cork substitutes and mentors will be making their way towards the dryness of the dressing rooms very, very shortly. We're now in injury time. Bill Hennessy. Early shortened there by Teddy McCarthy to get in the hoop. Down towards Ger Fitzgerald. Cork leading by 2 points in the 1992 All-Ireland hurling final. Teddy McCarthy flicked across. Eddie O'Connor having difficulty, but supported well. Pat Dwyer getting the ball out, but the referee Dickie Murphy from Enniscorthy in Wexford blowing the final whistle of the first half. Just 2 points the margin, but the all-important goal coming from a hotly debated penalty 4 minutes before half-time. As Dennis Walsh had his name taken, the penalty converted by DJ Kerry. Half-time score, Cork 7 points, Kilkenny 1 goal and 2.
Waterford Miners went in against Galway at half-time, leading by 4 points, having played with a breeze. It wasn't enough for them. Will this 2 point lead be enough for Cork? We'll talk about what we've seen in the first half, talk about the second half to come after the commercial break. Stay with us for that. Spoil this great occasion for hurling. Indeed, anything couldn't be less from the truth, because the first half of this senior final, a truly fascinating affair. Half-time, Cork leading 7 points to 1-2 against Kilkenny. But we asked the question before the commercial break, will that be enough for Cork? Let's find out what our panel think. Pete Finnerty and Kieran Barr have been joining me here this afternoon. But Pete, you've tipped Kilkenny. They're losing at half-time, but I think the advantage, I suppose, very much in Kilkenny's favour now for the second half.
Yes, coming out the second half, Kilkenny will be happy enough going in 2 points down and going back out with the breeze on their backs. I'd say they're happy enough, because there is a pretty strong breeze there.
Let's have a look at this penalty incident, which really put Kilkenny back into it again. And your thoughts, Peter? Perhaps a free out, the commentary team was suggesting before the penalty was given.
Yeah, you could say a free out, but it'd be very harsh on Jamesy to call a free out there at that stage, because he had his head down, he was off balance when he got the ball up, and he was going through. He was tumbled to the ground then. Yeah. There was a bit of a melee here, and this is crazy for Dennis Walsh, through a man of his experience, to pull like that in that situation. There was no real need for it, because there was no danger at that stage. It was well surrounded, it was out from goal, and it was silly what Dennis did in that instance. I couldn't see a free out initially for that.
Fair enough, Pete. Well, DJ Kerry then, Kieran Barr stepped up to take the penalty. Would you have gone for a goal? Would you have gone for a point?
We were discussing that just as he did it. My opinion is you go for those chances. You're playing into the wind, you mightn't get another penalty or a range of a shot, a possibility of a goal like that for the rest of the game. So you take your chance then when you have it. And DJ did the right thing. He hit it off the ground on a wet day, and it's going to slide under the keeper, and that's actually what happened.
He also threw the ball a considerable distance in front of me. He was practically in the goal by the time he hit it.
But funny enough, he was mentioned during the week that he was talking to Eddie Kerr. You ever see Eddie Kerr taking a free? Eddie Kerr nearly was on top of the goalkeeper before he hit it. Yeah. So he's obviously taking lessons from Eddie.
Here it is,
you know, it's the perfect way to take a penalty. You get as close to the goalkeeper as you can, and you've got all your momentum going forward. Look where Dennis Walsh is. Look, like these rules, we have rules in GAA, and they seem to be flaunted both in football and in hurling when it comes to penalties and people moving off the 21-yard line. But he did the right thing. He put that away. But he took his chance.
If he can get away with it, why not? Kevin Hennessy's miss. This might yet be significant, Pete, for Cork.
Yeah, this could be ruled out by Cork later on. This is typical Kevin Hennessy, getting inside the defence. You saw him against Down there earlier on in the preview, and he got into the position all on his own, rose it up. I thought he might have gone another bit or maybe struck first time. I was surprised to see him kicking from that distance. Unlucky again, it flew over the bar on him.
All right, Pete, thank you for the moment. We have another commercial break to take, but stay with us. The second half of this year's All-Ireland Hurling is for the second half. Changes perhaps in the Cork team. Let's find out from our reporter down at pitchside, Jim Carney.
Hello to you, Michael. Well, I've just been in the Kilkenny dressing room, and the big news from there is that Christy Heffernan has been asked to take off his tracksuit and get ready to come on, but he won't actually be coming on at the very start of the second half. However, James E. Brennan is suffering from extremely sore ribs, and Kilkenny fear that he will only last a few minutes early in the second half. They've asked Christy to take off his tracksuit. He's ready to come in. I also feel from talking to Kilkenny mentors that they want Christy to make a big impact when he comes on, but it looks, from what they've said to me, that it won't be past 3 or 4 minutes before the big man is in. Certainly the tracksuit is off and he's ready.
Thank you, Jim Carney. Pete Finnerty clearly a ploy for Kilkenny. If James E. Brennan is hurting at this stage, they would normally change him. Obviously they want a big roar for Christy when he comes on in the second half.
Obviously they want to introduce Christy at some stage of the game, and with 2 points down and with the wind on your backs early on, I'd say you'll see Christy coming in, and it'll get the crowd behind Kilkenny, and it'll put a bit of doubt in the Cork players' minds. So you could see Christy pretty early on if James E. is injured.
Kieran, looking at this from a Cork forwards point of view, it's not gone well for them in the first half. Now they're playing against the breeze, so a worry for Cork here.
I'd be more concerned about Cork and what changes they're going to make. It's you know, I'm not going to say that it's a crisis or anything, but Father O'Brien's going to have to be asking serious questions of some of his forwards, especially John Fitzgibbon. And he's got a very big reputation, and he hasn't done anything at all today. He's been pulling at everything that's come near him. He hasn't put his hand up really. Once or twice he has, but it doesn't look like it's with real conviction. And they've got a few guys there, you know, if Ger Manley or Egan or Mark Foley or somebody goes in and are prepared to put themselves about.
We have heard, Kieran, by the way, that there are no changes at half-time anyway in the Cork team, so obviously they're prepared to let it sit for another while.
Well, I think you have to. Like, you give a guy a chance, you give him one last chance and say you get out here for the first 5 minutes, and if it's not happening, you're coming off. Now, if that's the situation, maybe that's the best thing you can say to him, but I can see changes in this Cork team. If they're going to go 2 or 3 points down, someone's going to have to change.
Well, here they come for the second half. Pete Finnerty, the wind has not died any little bit here at Croke Park, so Kilkenny then are going to play with the strong breeze in the second half.
It's definitely going to be an advantage to Kilkenny, because in the first half they weren't getting the ball up as far as their forwards, and as a result only one forward has scored, and that's DJ Carey. This half they'll be getting more ball, they'll be getting maybe a few 65s and things like that, which DJ will slot over the bar. It's going to be an advantage to Kilkenny, but again Cork will have to work harder. The forwards will be facing the ball and taking on their men, and it's going to be interesting, but it is an advantage to Kilkenny, and it's looking good for Kilkenny at this stage.
OK, Pete, Kieran, thank you very much for the moment. So then, both teams back out here on the field at Croke Park at half-time. The score was 1-2 to 7 points in favour of Cork. Let's see what the second half brings us as we go back to our commentary team of Jimmy Barry Murphy and Ger Canning.
Yes, as you say, it's going to be Kilkenny who will have the elements at their backs for the second 35 minutes. Cork poised and ready in midfield. Pat Buckley and Shawnee McCarthy there. We await the arrival of Big Christie. Cork with 8 wides from that first 35 minutes against just 2 for Kilkenny. Cork with 50% success from their shooting, 7 points out of 14 attempts. Kilkenny likewise 3 points out of 6 attempts. And significantly, Liam Fennelly, the only one other than DJ Carey to get a shot on the target. He's still to score, however, which is a worrying factor. So Ollie Welch making his way back into the dugout, taking up a comfortable position. Rain still easing its way down from the clouds as Dickie Murphy gets the second 35 minutes underway. So straight away Liam McCarthy being put back on the white helmet, watching Pat O'Neill. The wind now at his backs, delivering the long pass inside. Dennis Mulcahy there being restrained by Liam Fennelly, having received a knock on the side of the head as well.
It'll be interesting, Ger, as a panel were saying at half-time, to see when Christy Heffernan is introduced. I think Pete Finnerty is making the point that they're waiting probably a few minutes to give the crowd a lift, and I think that's probably good tactics, get the crowd behind them. And in these conditions the play is going to suit them. High balls dropping around the square, they haven't been winning a lot of those balls, and Christie's certainly no better man in that situation to win the ball and lay it off to his forwards.
Yes, he's a terrific sub to be able to bring in. Liam Welch under pressure from Tomás Mulcahy. Fed in by John Fitzgibbon towards Kevin Hennessy. Still struggling to make the big impact he's capable of, and again he makes contact with the goalkeeper Michael Welch. Another high challenge to the head, and again referee not going in to issue any caution. It wasn't as serious a challenge by any manner of means as the one in the first half. So Pat Dwyer.
There's Kieran Barr saying half time also the Cork full forward line simply have to get into the game. They must get on the ball. John Fitzgibbon and Jervis Fitzgerald in particular. Kevin has been doing fairly well. They must get the ball in their hand and start taking on the Kilkenny full back line.
Yes, the two men in the corner still struggling to make any kind of impact, as Bill Hennessy now has the freedom of the park to turn, strike it inside. Brian Corcoran defending admirably. He's missed those 65s, challenged highly there by Jamesy Brennan. Again the referee going in to take the name of Jamesy Shiner Brennan for that unfair challenge on Brian Corcoran. So now we have had, I think it's 3 players with their names taken.
I think Jamesy Brennan took one look at Brian Corcoran here and said he wasn't going to try and shoulder him, just swung his hurley loosely at him, and nothing very dirty about it, just a careless pull, and referee getting in quite quickly.
Probing ball sent inside towards John Fitzgibbon again. Eddie O'Connor doing well, but Tomas Mulcahy bearing it on goal. Willie O'Connor stopping, and it's Ger Fitzgerald from the attempt, and it's in the side netting. Ger Fitzgerald fed the pass by Teddy McCarthy, but he couldn't turn it inside the cover of goalkeeper Michael Welch.
Well, what a boost this would have been for Cork just for the start of the second half. Tomas Mulcahy, which he's very good at racing onto the loose ball, he's blocked well by the defence. Teddy McCarthy knocks inside, and here you see Ger Fitzgerald, but again, that's great goalkeeping by Michael Walsh, very quick off his line.
Big Christie is in. Christie Heffernan coming in for his 28th championship appearance in place of Jamesy Brennan. Meanwhile, Sean McCarthy batting it down in the centre of the field. Well fed back by Michael Phelan to Pat O'Neill. A day for rolling up the sleeves and doing the simple things well by both teams. In towards Big Christie, being marked in there by Dennis Mulcahy. John Parr foraging. John Parr breaking through, and John Parr scoring. He went straight through the very porous Cork defence to put Kilkenny a goal in front after just about 3.5 minutes of the second half.
Well, this is just the impact Christie Heffernan makes. His very presence breaks up the play, and John Power snaps it up, races at the Cork defence again, and here you see kicking the ball again like Kevin Hennessy in the first half, but this time it actually side kicks it, deflects off the side of his foot, wrong footing Ger Cunningham. What a boost for Kilkenny.
Yes, a huge injection of confidence now with the arrival of Christie Heffernan and the goal so early in the second half. So now what's going to be the Cork response? Likewise, can Kilkenny keep their collective noses in front? Down towards John Parr again, challenged strongly by Jim Cashman. Again it's Parr going in, fouled. 3 to Kilkenny. Jim Cashman will be quite upset about that goal that John Parr scored, but the influence of Christie Heffernan so very, very evident early on.
Well, I think it's just his sheer presence here. The other defenders start immediately looking around you, and they were exactly the balls that Liam Fennelly couldn't win in front of Dennis Mulcahy.
So now DJ Carey with his first free of the second half, trying to find the range, admirably struck with great conviction. A goal and 3 points now for the player from Young Ireland's in Goran. From place balls, that's 2 out of 3. Very good average indeed. The battle at midfield. Pat Buckley struggling at this stage. Bill Hennessy. Well, they're playing with a fresh approach altogether in this second half, Kilkenny. There's a livelier bounce about their play.
There is indeed, and their midfielders also now getting on top. John Power doing damage at centre forward, and I'm just wondering when will Pat Hartman be introduced. Cork certainly need to bolster up the midfield and get that ball driving into their full forward line, and they're going to have to be demanding a huge effort from the full forward line. They need goals, I think, at this stage.
One would imagine that he would be the first in. That's cut in by Michael Phelan, just a little bit too vigorously. Kilkenny's first ride of the second half, only 3 in all. Ger Cunningham pucking into the wind, dropping near the 45-metre line, caught in there by Tomas Mulcahy, fouled by Liam Welch, free on the 45-metre line or thereabouts.
That's a great catch again by Tomas, and he really is playing his heart out there. Won a good free, and again a very important free again for Cork. If they can just keep hanging in there, it's a huge test of their character now, but they can hang in there, they could still do it. You know, there's a long way to go in this game.
So Shawnee McCarthy, who's taken over the free-taking duties from Brian Corcoran. Again hitting on his left-hand side, and again finding the range quite superbly. That's 3 points now for Shawnee McCarthy. 8 points his tally in this year's championship, and as you see, there's just a point between the teams. 3 from 3 his figures in the game, 3 attempts to getting a score. Kilkenny's DJ Carey, shouldered by Jim Cashman. Again DJ, fleet-footed and sticking it over the bar. Expertly taken score, rallying his side now. So he's got 1-4 out of the tally of 2-4.
Well, he's a beautiful hurler, classic wing forward play here again, winning his own puck out, racing through the defence, and he's a beautiful hurler, lovely score from there.
Jimmy, I guess he has to be about the best in the country, or nearly the best hurler in the country in this year's championship.
Well,
he's been playing quite superbly.
A lot of people were wondering, can he be shut out of the game? You know, there was a few doubts about DJ, but he's such a class hurler, and you can't beat him when he gets going very fast.
Here he is again, whipping it down inside the full back line. Saved well by Ger Cunningham, half blocked out. Shawnee O'Gorman responding well. Michael Phelan trying to win the race with Tony O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan nipping in there first, having difficulty in the greasy conditions, taking it up and passing it back towards Dennis Walsh. Wasn't expecting it. Instead it's Liam Fennelly advancing. He's made a good bit of ground, and Liam Fennelly has put the ball over the bar, and Liam Fennelly has finally got a score. His second attempt at getting a point finally produces the reward, and Kilkenny edge just a little bit ahead once again.
Here you see Tony O'Sullivan, most uncharacteristic for Tony. He actually fumbles the ball, a loose hand pass back to Dennis Welch, who again fumbles it. Cork are just getting a bit ragged at the moment on. Liam Fennelly gathers it well, races in defence. I think does the right thing, knocks a simple point over to keep the pressure on Cork and keep the momentum going.
By our figures, Kilkenny have had 4 attacks in the second half, and they've had 4 scores. Pat Buckley trying to take that ball up, but Kilkenny playing it renewed heart, and Liam Fennelly coming in with that unfair challenge, which the referee quite correctly penalises. And Dickie Murphy just appreciating that a quick chat to Liam Fennelly will do the trick. Cork get the free, and Shawnee McCarthy watched by Father Michael O'Brien, Gerald McCarthy and the rest of the selectors, and it looks like Pat Hartnett will be in very shortly. His influence around midfield could be quite immense. Huge one inside, defended well, but Cork trying to get the shot in. Finally breaks out towards Willie O'Connor, pressurised there by Tony O'Sullivan, turned right back into the cover of Willie O'Connor again. Again it's Tony O'Sullivan in this terrific final. Picked up by DJ Carey. A long relieving ball by DJ Carey down towards Christy Heffernan. Heffernan against Dennis Mulcahy. Was there a bit of jersey tugging? The referee says play away. Mulcahy on towards Jim Cashman. Cashman has left the ball behind. It's gone back to Christy Heffernan again. The shot, and it's gone sailing over the bar. Christy Heffernan's first point since coming in the second half as a substitute. 4 points the difference. It's looking good for the Cats from Kilkenny.
And Cork really have to try something at this stage. Pat Hartnett will have to be introduced into the middle of the field to try and bolster up it. Cork are under fierce pressure in the middle of the field and in the half-back line now as well.
Michael Phelan's influence and Bill Hennessy around midfield, immense. Shawnee McCarthy still continuing to battle his heart out, but the pass really going nowhere, just as far as Bill Hennessy. Another probing ball inside. Morrissey put off his stride by the attention there of Brian Corcoran. Second wide of the second half for Kilkenny, 4 in all.
Kilkenny all over the field now, Gerard, putting fierce pressure on the Cork players. A lot of blocking down to the end. They're really hunting in packs. Their dander is up now, and they're going to be very hard to stop. Cork need to get a score badly.
Cork have now gone back into the half-forward formation that they were originally selected in. Tomas Mulcahy on the 40, Tony O'Sullivan on the left. That's caught superbly by Michael Phelan. What a great midfield player he's turned out to be this year. They always knew about his class, but he's really come on a ton during the past season.
The Cork are going to have to try and bolster the midfield here. I know I'm going on about it, but Cathal Casey or Pat Hartnett will have to be switched to the middle of the field to try and get some supply of ball into the forward line.
Well, Kilkenny, I'm sure, will have their plans to counter that as well, as Pat O'Neill flights this one in towards the left-hand side, and still held in somehow there by Liam Fennelly, caught by Ger Cunningham out to the middle again. Michael Phelan once again under the dropping ball. The rain has thankfully eased. The wind still supporting Kilkenny. Just a hint of sunshine about to make its appearance. And a real competitive All-Ireland hurling final. with Eamon Morrissey trying to make some room for himself. Hesitation there by Pat Buckley and by Dennis Walsh, and the profits there gained by Liam McCarthy. And he might well turn out to be quite a profit yet down around Kilkenny, because he snapped up the chance. Hesitation by Cork, and you can't do that against players of the calibre of McCarthy. And Pat Hartnett is coming into the match as anticipated, with about 12 minutes gone in the second half. Pat Buckley, the one I think who is going to make way, or is it going to be Dennis Walsh? Buckley is going across to left half back. Dennis Walsh is the one they've taken off.
Well, Pat Hartnett has actually got the right half back. I think Kyle Casey midfield, and Pat is picking up DJ Carey, who has been a huge thorn in Cork's side this afternoon for the whole game.
So Hartnett against DJ Carey, that will be an interesting clash. Meanwhile, it's Teddy McCarthy there against Bill Hennessy. Shawnee McCarthy. Michael Phelan standing his ground. Jim Cashman with good ground hurling being illustrated by both teams. It's picked up here by Cathal Casey, raiding now across the 45-metre line, turning back again, trying to make a pass secure inside for Kevin Hennessy, looking for support, battled down brilliantly by some excellent tenacious defending by Pat Dwyer, but not as far as Cathal Casey, and he's put it over the bar. The defending may have been good by Pat Dwyer and co, but the clearance wasn't a good one, and Cathal Casey sticks it over the bar, a point that keeps Cork very much in touch.
Well, Cathal Casey did the right thing there. Kevin Hennessy had a chance just before that, and maybe he should have just knocked the ball over the bar. Cork just need to get a score to try and get settled in their team again. They have a new formation now, and try and build up a bit of momentum.
Shawnee McCarthy, as Jim Cashman takes the ball out of the Cork half back line. Kilkenny responding really well, however. The sunshine, the very welcome sunshine now everywhere in Croke Park, shining particularly for the Cats from Kilkenny, leading by 4 points, giving a tremendous display. Cork will have to battle every step of the way if they're to have a chance of notching up another McCarthy Cup success. This is Pat Hartnett. First chance to impress against the other number 18, Christy Heffernan. In steps Brian Corcoran, dodging around Kilkenny men, delivering the pass left-sided inside towards Cathal Casey, battling there with Michael Phelan. Tremendous tussle being exhibited by both teams. The decision goes with Kilkenny. Correct decision, I think. But two teams certainly giving their all at the end of a long campaign. 2-7 for Kilkenny, 9 points for Cork. That's 13 points to 9. Some holding. Christy, I think, the guilty party on Dennis Mulcahy.
Again, just a minute ago there, some tremendous defending by Brian Corcoran, and you'd wondered if he wasn't playing as well as he is today, that Cork full back line would be in dire straits. He really has covered off, and for such a young player, it's a marvellous performance by him.
And Kilkenny making a change, a positional switch, but Cork bringing in, it looks like Ger Manley, who's coming in a forward or half forward, and Gerald McCarthy coming in just to have a word there with the player who may well be making his way off, but Ger Manley is in, and Ger Fitzgerald, the Cork captain, who didn't impress, is on his way off.
Well, Ger Cork need to try something. I'm sorry for Ger, who just didn't have one of those great games today, and he's been a great servant of Cork hurling, and then he'll be back again.
Well, the great servants of Kilkenny hurling right now are certainly doing the business, but pressurised by Tony O'Sullivan and the Cork men. Greasy conditions. Tomas Mulcahy trying to get his way in, fouled, injured on the ground indeed. And it's going to be a free in for Cork from the 20-metre line, and a chance to put just 3 points between the teams, and plenty of time thankfully remaining. That's the kind of match you would wish to see an awful lot more of. Really good skills exhibited by both teams in a really good battle. So Tony O'Sullivan taps it over. That's 2 points in the contest for Tony.
That's much better play from Cork in the last 4 or 5 minutes, and certainly the switch of Cathal Casey to midfield and the introduction of Pat Hartnett has tightened things up quite a lot, and if they can just keep it going now, they're well back in the game, and who knows what could happen.
So the view inside the Cork dugout as Michael Welch pucks this one down. the sun into the eyes of the Cork defence as well. Also the breeze into their faces. Cathal Casey now at midfield. Don't forget, Pat Hartnett right half back, Pat Buckley left half back, and a restructured half back line to cope with the threat, the twin threat really, of DJ Carey and Liam McCarthy. The protest from Bill Hennessy. And sadly the Cork captain Ger Fitzgerald, who as Jimmy said had one of those days, just behind him Mark Foley, and you wonder whether they would gamble with bringing in the very tall half forward. It's going to be Cathal Casey, very versatile player, to take this sideline cut. It's sweetly in towards Teddy McCarthy, got there just ahead of Pat O'Neill of Kilkenny, steadying himself to hit the shot in, and watched all the way by Michael Welsh, needing to get the clearance in now. Ger Manley breathing down his neck. That's well won by Shawty McCarthy there against Bill Hennessy. Mention of Hennessy, it's Kevin Hennessy beaten by Pat Dwyer, and Pat Dwyer has had a very good All-Ireland hurling final. Down to John Parr, the goal scorer in the second half for Kilkenny. That's out over the sideline. They're playing away, but the linesman has flagged. Pat Horan of Offaly here on this near side, and judging that the ball had gone out over the sideline, so it's going to be a Cork ball. On my watch, nearly 18 minutes gone in the second half. Here's Sean O'Gorman, fetched by Shawty McCarthy, who's worked very hard at midfield. Liam Simpson coming out, very committed full-back play, and Liam Welsh then belting it downfield again towards Christy Heffernan, making more and more of an impact. But it's stopped by Dennis Mulcahy, trying to get it across there towards John Parr, intercepted by Jim Cashman. Cashman lobbing it to the centre of the field. Bill Hennessy now winning so much ball in there along with Michael Phelan. Going towards the left-hand side, and it's tailed away. Kilkenny's third wide of the second half, 5 in all. Cork with just 1 wide in the second half to add to the 8 they had in the first.
Kilkenny obviously not happy with the contribution of Eamon Morrissey either, Ger. He hasn't scored yet in the game and was being outplayed by Brian Corcoran, so they're now trying that right half forward, and they'll be hoping he can get a couple of scores.
Well, he got just 2 points in last year's final, and you felt that if Kilkenny were to win, he would have to make a big contribution, and it's Tony O'Sullivan who's making the contribution for Cork with his 3rd point.
Cork certainly aren't going to die down, and great score there by Tony O'Sullivan, but he's become so good at over the years, coming across the half forward line from a very difficult angle, just taking Cork back that bit closer again.
But when you've got a Cork versus Kilkenny final, it usually goes right down to the final whistle.
Well, that's it, Ger. Cork looked down now about 5 or 6 minutes ago, but a couple of very handy points has brought them right back into it, and Jim Cashman's also making a greater impact now at centre back.
So the game's swinging around interestingly. Pat O'Neill injured as he hit that one away. A foul there by Tomás Mulcahy on the head of Pat O'Neill. Michael Phelan, by the way, has now been moved in onto the 40. Watch this challenge again by Tomás Mulcahy. Nothing particularly dangerous.
Tries to block the ball. I don't think there was anything intentional there at all, but maybe his hurley was a bit high and the referee felt it was dangerous play. Certainly no intention to hit the player or anything like that there.
No, absolutely not. Just a kind of awkward clash. So in the Kilkenny bench, they'll be concerned, of course, about their centre half back Pat O'Neill, who missed a lot of the action. Well, the referee has taken the name of Tomás Mulcahy, and that's a little baffling because certainly there was a contact foul, but it certainly didn't look intentional. Nothing dangerous about that challenge. Michael Phelan back on his feet, as we say, seems to have been moved into the 40.
Again, now there's a pressure free here for DJ Carey. Kilkenny have lost a bit of whatever they had going for them a while ago when they were hurling so well and taking their points rather easily. Now the pressure's on DJ Carey to get them back to just a goal lead again.
Yes, they're trying to regain that momentum. And DJ being told to take the free. His attention is still being given to Pat O'Neill, and this floats in well, and it could have gone anywhere, and it stopped in the end by Ger Cunningham. Out into the centre of the field again, DJ under it there with Cathal Casey. Casey wins this one. Not quite sure if it was a pass or just flicked away by Michael Phelan. Up towards Tomás Mulcahy, a player loose inside him. Now Tomás Mulcahy, you remember 2 points between the teams, on to Tony O'Sullivan, and he's put the ball wide. They're gone in to protest about it. Tony was certain it was a point, and the umpire of Cork men going in there to try and influence his decision. Kevin Hennessy incensed by it all.
Well, Cork an extra man here. Tomas Mulcahy just releases the ball. Tony O'Sullivan normally deadly, and to be perfectly honest about it, I thought it had just gone wide. But the angle isn't great here, but I must say, I just thought it was shot off his Hurley just the side of the post.
Well, the umpire at least was behind the goal. He had a good view of it. Pat Hartnett beaten for it by DJ Carey. Fumbled in there by Pat Buckley, and it's the other number 8 Phelan who takes it inside towards Liam McCarthy, and it's gone in! A goal by Liam McCarthy. It could be the most significant score in the match. Cork denied a point at the other end, and the very next attack produces a Kilkenny goal with 22 minutes gone in the second half.
Well, here you see it, Pat Buckley. The ball should really have been cleared by Pat Buckley. Fumbles it, falls loose to Michael Phelan, who mishits the ball, I think, in fairness. Breaks back to Liam McCarthy. Beautiful shot off the ground. Fantastic goal by Liam McCarthy. Took it absolutely brilliantly. But again, you know, it was a ball that Cork defence might well have cleared, and they've fumbled quite a lot of those today.
Adrian Ronan has come in to the half-forward line to replace Eamon Morrissey, who didn't make a marked contribution by any manner of means this afternoon. Didn't get a shot on target at any stage. So now Pat O'Neill, the bandaged hero at the centre of Kilkenny's half-back line. Down towards Liam Fennelly. Switched in there to top of the left, watched all the time by Shawnee O'Gorman. The challenge there coming in from Pat Hartnett, batted down by Pat Buckley. Now Ronan a chance to make an impression and show the selectors that they were wrong to omit him in the first place. The shoulder coming in from Corcoran, deemed to be a fair one. John Power advancing. Hitting this one in, and he's put it wide.
Brilliant tackle again there by Brian Corcoran. Just the right thing when the opponent has possession. Hit him with your shoulder perfectly legitimately and knocks him off his stride and puts the pressure back on the player with the ball.
And Mark Foley has just been introduced by Cork. Well, it's the gamble that I'm sure they felt they had to take, and Pat Buckley seems to be the one who's been withdrawn. Shawnee McCarthy in a restructured Cork team has gone back to left half back. Buckley's off, Foley's in. There's 5 points between the teams, and on my watch just about 11 minutes to go. Looking good for Kilkenny following that goal by Liam McCarthy. So Mark Foley, who scored those great 2 goals and 7 points against Tipperary in the Munster final of 1990. Sometimes you wonder if it was the best thing that could have happened to him at that particular stage in his career, because he was always going to be judged by that particular scoreline. It hasn't worked out all that well for him in the last 2 years. Referee nipping in now to have a quick word with both Teddy McCarthy and Bill Hennessy and warn them about various kinds of monkey play. 2 teams, 2 players well fired up. The prize, the biggest one on offer in hurling. A chance to bring the Liam McCarthy back to north side or to lee side. Mark Foley is in at centre half forward on Pat O'Neill. Cork with 11 points in all out of 21 attempts, and Kilkenny with, well, 10 points effectively out of 17 attempts, but that of course translated into those 3 goals and 7 points. Picked up here by Willie O'Connor, partially blocked, comes out however to the vigilant Pat O'Neill, playing his heart out. Long ball down as far as Liam McCarthy again, blocked by Brian Corcoran. That's lovely skill. Persistence by Liam McCarthy just to try and get in a counter block, almost works. Liam Fennelly fetching it back inside towards Phelan, opening up those broad shoulders, and it sails over the crossbar. There's silence on the hill where the Cork people are, but all around the ground the Kilkenny fans saluting that latest score for Kilkenny, the first by Michael Phelan.
Yeah, good play again here by Liam McCarthy. Keeps blocking down this game today. It's been absolutely unbelievable. Liam Fennelly gathers the ball well, spots Michael Phelan loose inside, and a very good point by the midfielder. Great score for Kilkenny again.
Christy Heffernan back on the 40. Meanwhile, it's Teddy McCarthy raiding inside the half-back line of Kilkenny and dropping this one over the bar. A second point for Teddy. But 5 points between the teams. Time ebbing away from a Cork point of view. just about 9 minutes, a little under 9 minutes to go. So our Kilkenny to bridge a 9-year gap, beaten in the final of 1987 by Galway, beaten again of course last year. So seeking to make amends. Have they got the greater hunger? The incentive grade for both teams. Dennis Mulcahy clashes hard, ferocious at times. And that's Brian Corcoran from a tight situation up towards Teddy McCarthy, runs into Mark Foley. Well, they need a big display from Foley and from another substitute here, Ger Manley. They've shown their full hand at this stage, having introduced their 3 second-half subs, but it's Pat O'Neill who continues to defy them time and again. Towards Phelan, they have the look of a winning team, and Michael Phelan has dropped it over the bar. And this lady here from Kilkenny, I'm sure has waited, like so many of the Kilkenny fans, an inordinate length of time to see the cup finally go back towards Northside. But there's still minutes to go.
Inspiration play again by Pat O'Neill, who has certainly been a hero for Kilkenny at centre half back today. Spotted the loose man, and Michael Phelan, who's not really a full forward, gets another fantastic score.
Here's Christie now on the 40. Scorer of 2 goals and 3 points, remember, against Cork in the 1982 final. Now 10 years on, looking to add to the medal tally. Liam McCarthy. A much happier looking Kilkenny forward line in the second half. They allowed Cork back in at one stage, back to within 1 or 2 points. But it's Pat O'Neill again, standing defiantly there at centre half back, playing a terrific match. Out it comes to Michael Phelan, trying to gain something, but surrounded by red shirts from Cork.
The amount of times the ball has been fumbled in the Cork defence has been amazing. They've given away quite a lot of scores at that. But of course that's as a result, I suppose, of the pressure Kilkenny forward end are putting on them as well. You must give them credit for that.
It's been a very good display by the Kilkenny forward line. Brian Corcoran now left half back. Switches all about the place. These young Kilkenny fans hoping that the next 6.5 minutes tick away as fast as possible. They want to invade the pitch, but the Corkmen will make them fight right to the very end. That's the nature of Cork hurling, and always has been. Bill Hennessy now, turning on his left-hand side. And Christie ambling across, nobody picked him up. Keeping the ball in play, chance to set up a scoring chance. Cork back there in numbers once again. Pat Hartnett whipping it into the centre, but it's met by John Parr. Stumbles, but there's players calling for it outside him. Adrian Ronan was free. Parr going on his own, and Adrian Ronan exchanging a glance at John Parr to say, well, why didn't you give it to me? I could have taken a score.
I think he should have, Jared. The game is never all over, and when you spot a loose man outside, you think you should give it to him, and Adrian Ronan would probably have scored, and John was under pressure himself.
Well, Cork led by 2 points, wind assisted at half-time. It's now Kilkenny who lead by 6. John Parr watching that one drop over his head. His wing-back colleague Liam Welch was well positioned. Now Mark Foley. He did 2 minds originally as he was orchestrating that attack. John Fitzgibbon didn't score at all so far. Tony O'Sullivan got those 3 points. But several of the Cork forwards had a very disappointing day. In towards Kevin Hennessy with 1 point to his credit off the goalkeeper. It might have been destined for the side getting in any case, but Michael Welch wasn't to know that.
I think, Jared, it's dire straits for Cork at this stage, and they desperately need a goal. Jim Cashman will try and drop this one in around the square, and hopefully Kevin Hennessy or John Fitzgibbon can get a touch onto it and try and get a scrape out a goal in the last couple of minutes, but it really is desperation stakes.
Judge for yourself here. I thought this was headed for the side netting, but Michael Welch wasn't going to take the chance. In towards Kevin Hennessy again, Mark Foley in there, battling with Pat O'Neill inevitably, and Willie O'Connor watches it picked up by Ger Manley across the face of the goal towards John Fitzgibbon, out towards Liam Welch here. Welch taking the ball out of danger. They need a long clearance, into the centre it goes, towards DJ Carey, met by Pat Hart, and whipped back in again. 2 Kilkenny men go for the 1 ball down towards Ger Manley. Manley raiding, Cork needing a goal, they get it! Manley, the goal scorer. A mistake by 2 of the Kilkenny backs going for the same ball, and that allows Manley and Cork back into the match with just about 4 minutes still to go.
And George, just as I said, Cork desperately needed a goal, and they're right back in it. Brilliant pull on the ball by Pat Hart, who beat DJ Carey to the pull, and again loose play inside around the square. Ger Manley gathers it well, takes on the defence, and just as we saw, kicks the ball again, the roof of the net. What a boost for Cork at this stage. There's still time to draw this game. If Cork can hold their heads, they're right back in the game.
3-9 to to 112, 18 points to 15. DJ Carey needing a score just to push them that little bit further ahead, and he misses, and it's an 8 wide, 6 in all in the second half for Kilkenny. Tension now everywhere. Well, just when you thought that Kilkenny were already ready to rehearse the Rose of Mooncoin, Cork come crashing back. It's not over yet. There hasn't been a draw in the All-Ireland Series in the final since 1959, a long time ago. John Power back there to deny. Tomas Mulcahy, pulsating stuff. John Power brilliantly out of defence. Way down towards Michael Phelan, stopped in there by Shawnee McCarthy. Across towards Adrian Ronan, battling the whole time with Brian Corcoran. Ronan tried to deny Corcoran space, it succeeds. In comes Michael Phelan. Kilkenny wanting to hold on now to their 3-point advantage and lift their first McCarthy Cup for 9 years. That looks good, it's excellent, and Ronan has put it over the bar.
Well, Kilkenny can certainly thank John Paul for that score. He went back and won an absolutely brilliant ball from Tomas Mulcahy, and a fantastic insurance score from Adrian Ronan right over the touchline.
Yes, the climax of a most enjoyable All-Ireland hurling final. A game which started in drizzly, miserable conditions. Now at least it's dry. John Fitzgibbon holding on for dear